tongues of men, a known human language. Other tongues are a form of prophecy. Other tongues are really a ministry gift. It's really intended for people who are going to be traveling and have the need to speak other tongues. Or it may not be that you're traveling, it may be that you're, for whatever reason, your audience speaks another language, and God sends you to speak to them. And He may not even tell you. You go in, you assume it's an English audience, and you just speak to them. And then afterwards, somebody comes up to you, and you're like, what? Because they're speaking Spanish or French or some language, Portuguese or something you don't even understand. That's how awesome God is. The message still got across. Let's distinguish it now from this thing called unknown tongues, and understand ultimately when should it be used and what's it good for. Okay? So back to 1 Corinthians 14. So we've already read that unknown tongues by themselves is just for the person. Unknown tongues by themselves is really just for the person. If God gives them understanding of what they're saying. So are you with me? Unknown tongues without the gift of interpretation is just for the person. If God gives them understanding of what they're saying in this tongue they don't understand. If God does not, then it's really worthless in that instance. If there's no understanding, if there's no edification of the person, then nothing's happening. Clear? All right. So we keep introducing this other gift, this gift of interpretation. And the reason this is important is spelled out here. Remember, this chapter, 1 Corinthians 14, starts by saying that you really want to prophesy. Keep that in mind. He says you want to first. The very first verse says prophesy. That's what you want to do. Okay. Well, the only way, if your gift is a gift of unknown tongues, the only way your unknown tongues can be of benefit to whoever's there is that someone, it could be you, has the gift of interpretation. So you can give an interpretation in English, in this context, to the audience. Right. Otherwise, if there's no one there with the gift of interpretation, we are commanded by Scripture to keep quiet. We're commanded by Scripture to keep quiet. Look at verse 28. But if there be no interpreter, let him keep silence in the church, and let him speak to himself and to God. If there's no interpreter, so another false practice we have in many, many churches is that the entire church starts speaking in unknown tongues. Now, we just said all Christians have either other tongues or unknown tongues. So if an entire church speaks in unknown tongues, already we know something's wrong. We already know something's wrong. Because all those people don't have the gift of unknown tongues. Okay? So a lot of those folks are faking. Or worse, a lot of those folks are channeling devils. They're talking they're talking tongues of devils. Clear? Now, to make sure, am I just saying it? Look what verse 22 says. It says, wherefore tongues are for a sign, not to them that believe, but to them that believe not. But prophesying serveth the person prophesying as a form of ministry, not for them that believe not, but for them which believe. Okay? If therefore the whole church be come together unto one place, and all speak with unknown tongues, it says tongues, but specifically it's talking about unknown tongues here, there shall come in those that are unlearned or unbelieving, and will they not say, you are mad? Now, the reason I focus on this, it says, if all speak. Now, in Acts 2, all 120 disciples spoke with other tongues, and edification happened, because people understood them. Clearly, if the entire church is speaking in some non-earth language, and I come in, and I'm a heathen, guess what I'm going to say?
Crazy.
These folks are crazy. So we're commanded that the entire church is not to speak in unknown tongues. Okay? Now, one other caveat. It says, well, we have an interpreter. Now that's the part we're going to read. An interpreter can't interpret masses. An interpreter interprets one at a time.
Right.
So, no matter, even if there is someone with a gift of interpretation, how's he going to interpret if everyone's speaking? There still has to be done, everything done, as the last verse says, let all things be done decently and in order. So, let's read about that part. Sorry, a question.
Yeah. So, if the whole church comes together and everybody speaks in tongues, right, isn't that in some ways blasphemy?
Absolutely.
Because we blaspheme in the name of the Lord by way of attacking or harming somebody.
Right.
Who doesn't believe.
I mean, good point. The unbeliever gets harmed because they think God ultimately is crazy. So that's how the blasphemy comes in. Okay. We're misrepresenting God because that entire group does not speak in unknown tongues. The 1 Corinthians 12, God says God puts in the body those with different gifts. So we're already